Okay, Garden Journal number 10, June 26th, 2017. So this time we're going to be doing updates on the crops and showing how I build one of these TP trellises here, which I build out of bamboo and plastic twine. They're good for supporting cucumbers, and this year I've been trying melons as well as watermelons, cantaloupes and watermelons, so we're going to see how that goes. Also, I wanted to show you guys this flower garden that I planted with a package of wildflower seeds that someone in my family was thoughtful enough to give out at the celebration of my granny's life. She loved wildflowers, and she had a garden, a beautiful garden with flowers and vegetables, so planted these in honor of her, and 7 different varieties have come up so far, and I think there's another 2 on the way. I can tell by the foliage something else. I'll do another slideshow another time of how they've all unfolded, but this is how they look so far. They've really helped for pollination, I've noticed. So I'll show you some footage of how I built the teepee. Okay, so building a teepee trellis for my cucumbers, and I use it for other things too. What you'll need is 3 sturdy bamboos, about 5.5 feet or so, I'm not sure, and some twine. So I'll start by positioning these guys so that there's going to be a nice diameter for the leaves to climb up. In this case, it looks like about 1.5 feet in between the poles where I'm placing them in the ground. So I'll start by aligning them on top, and then I'll get the base in. I'm just getting it in enough so I can leave them hanging out while I really reinforce it. That's 1. I only stuck them in 1 inch or 2 because the main structure is going to be in the string tying around it. So I've already cut a piece of twine here. So to start on top, I find a nice spot to just tie it off. Get it nice and double knotted on there. And then I'll position these guys so that they wrap over each other and just start wrapping. And I do a kind of freestyle process. I'm sure there's an actual technical way to do it, but I'll go right around 3, I'll go back underneath, over top, etc. And I just keep going until I run out of twine. And these guys have yet to come apart on me. When they get really heavy with melons or lots of cukes, they can tumble over sideways, but they can anchor in the ground with a shorter section of bamboo, a little bit off to the side, and tie it off. That way it's got an anchor in the ground. But I have yet to have one come apart and just fall apart. Okay, so I am satisfied with this. Now I'm going to tie it off to the little end that I left on the top part. And then I'm going to start wrapping the lattice structure, which all the tendrils of the cucumber are going to grab onto, so they can hang their cukes up in the air, keep the mildew off them, good airflow, good sunlight, and save space in the garden. So I've tied that off to the top. I'm going to double tie it. Okay, so now that I've got the base fastened in a couple inches into the ground, top tied up tight, I've attached my longer piece of twine on that's going to be the lattice work. Now, this is about 3-4 meters long, but I don't know if it's going to make it all the way. If not, I can attach another section. So I start by wrapping right around all 3. And then once I get down to 1, I do 1 wrap around, and then I do about a 45-degree angle and wrap down onto the next one. wrap around, and I go to the next one. It's important to keep it tight the whole time so that when your tendrils grab on from your cucumbers, they got some actual weight that they can hold on it. So this is pretty much the deal. I do this all the way down. Always keeping tension. It looks like I will need another section for the bottom. Oops. So I'm out of twine, so I'll tie it off here. Another one on and finish it up. So if you underestimate how much twine you need to wrap all the way down, spiraling to the bottom, like I have, then get another piece, attach it on real good to the last piece that you had, and start again. I'm going to be attempting to grow melons with a similar system, though I will reinforce it with much more twine. So we'll see how that goes. Cucumbers have always been a great success this way. A lot less problems with powdery mildew. And a lot happier cucumbers. They're not sitting on the moist soil where they can get attacked by all kinds of critters. I am not very good at estimating how much twine I need today. Oh well. So I'll be getting it third breeze, and once you actually make it to the bottom, you only need it to get to be like 3 or 4 inches from the ground, and they can grab onto that no problem. Well, this one won't look as pretty as they usually do. It's got tied ends. I'll survive. Like the highest you would want to have the bottom one. We'll do a little walk around of how the crops are doing now. Okay, so for the crop tour, starting on the south facing fence, we've got our snap peas. They're doing awesome this year. It's been a really cool June, so they're thriving. And I've got to come in here every now and then and have a little snack. These juicy guys pop up like every 2 days. You get a huge bowl full. So good. Protein, vitamin. And then down hiding underneath them is the leeks. They're doing well too. They're going to mosey along and probably be a bit slower this year because of the super healthy tomato plants in front of them. And then we got a row of tomatoes here, half Cherokee purple, which you're looking at now, and half beefsteak. Cherokee purple are a really nice heirloom that I found to be pretty resistant to diseases and mold problems. And they come to be a beautiful burgundy color with purple stripes. The flesh is very sweet, kind of like a brandy wine. So I'm really looking forward to making some stuff with those. Purple pasta sauce. Okay, so here we've got one of our Minnesota midget cantaloupes. They're a compact variety, nice thick skin, and we're trying to grow them vertically this year. So I'm going to be tying them onto this trellis and giving them little hammocks to hang in the fruit so they don't fall. Looking forward to seeing how that works out. Tied this up crazy tight so it's not going to fall with the cantaloupes on it. Then we got a mixture out here. We've got Hungarian peppers that are bright yellow, supposed to have really high vitamin C content. The Mamma Mia Gallo, I think they're called. Looking forward to seeing those. Another Cherokee purple here. Coming along nice. We've got some cherry tomatoes, Sweet 100. Like to put some of them in the ground because they just keep going strong right into the fall and produce amazing once it cools down again. We've got marigold to deter those herbivore insects from biting on our crops. And some more Mamma Mia Gallos. I gave them a nice little handful of hardwood ash and kelp meal. And peppers usually love that. Just not too much of the hardwood ash because it raises the soil pH and they do like a semi-acid environment. So over here, got my experimental sweet potato project. This is 4 sweet potato plants in a 20-gallon, 77-liter, 20-gallon garbage bin. So I've used a potting mix, 1/3 potting mix, Pro Mix, and 2/3 peat, and then lots of handfuls of kelp meal, and a little bit of hardwood ash, and some slow-release fertilizer. So I've drilled some holes through the side, of course through the bottom for drainage, and I slipped in some sweet potato seedlings through the sides, and they're doing well, and then one big one in the top. So I'm going to see if I can fill this bad boy up full of sweet potatoes by this fall. We'll flip it over and see what's inside at the end. Last but not least, for this part of the yard, we've got our full pepper row. So at the end here, these are hot cherry peppers, about golf ball sized. I'd say about twice as hot as a jalapeno. Then we've got our Polbano cousin called the Charger, so a really mellow pepper, less hot than a jalapeno. Some Thai chilies, those are going to make some nice hot sauce. And then the entire rest of the row was supposed to be Butjolokia, but I've discovered now that there's peppers setting on the vine that I actually mislabeled the seeds, and they are Apaches, or maybe some kind of cross-pollinated new variety that used to be Apaches, because they're purple, but they look like an Apache shape. So we don't have as many ghosts this year, but we bought a couple at the nursery, and we'll get some ghosts in there so we can make some sauce like we usually do. But we'll have lots of Apaches, purple Apaches. Then here at the end we have sugar baby watermelon. So another experimental vertical project. Let's see if we can grow those. And moving on. Here we've got our ginger patch. Started these, I don't know, March or so. Got the little shoots coming out, and now they're in their pots. I'm also going to add a couple turmeric if I can get them to sprout. They're a very similar plant. And similarly, they take at least 10 months to mature to full, but we'll bring them in the fall and have a nice house plant. So multi-purpose. 2 of the most immune system superfoods you can grow in your own home. Amazing. Here we have one of our 2 new Butjolokia plants that we bought from nursery. Luckily, there's some more pepper fanatics in town, and someone actually had ghost pepper plants already started we could buy, because I planted the wrong ones from our seeds. And these are coming along nicely. Beneath them and around them is a huge kale forest, which is mostly self-propagated, and I've planted some of them in a row, which are going to stay all the way through the year. The rest of them will make fuel for what's called gundaroo, which is a fermented vegetable mix of kale and other brassicas that we'll try. Nepalese fermented veggies. Up here we've got the 2nd-year kales. They're already getting to be like 4 feet tall, and the blossoms have started, so if you don't pay attention to these, it'll go to seed, then the leaves will stop being so lush and green. So you got to pinch these off, and you can put them in salads. You can eat the buds and the flowers. They're actually kind of like broccoli. Yep, tasty. If you come in every day, you have your little snack and infinite kale leaves. Over here we got straight A cucumber. Coming along nicely. Set a couple little babies on there, but they're hard to find right now. And hopefully it's another project I'm going to be doing for the fermented vegetables, doing what's called sourdill pickles. So So that's fermenting cucumbers in their own juices, and or a brine that's not vinegar based but rather just salt water to allow the lactic acid bacteria to thrive. And then we got the Italian broccolis. They're very healthy, but they're also getting very vigorously attacked. So I'm trying to keep up with those little cabbage loopers, and hopefully we'll get the blooms soon, the flower buds, which make up the cauliflower or broccoli edible part. Marigold to deter some of those little snackers. Oh yeah, and here in the middle we have a butternut squash. So we're trying to grow some bigger squashes on a vertical trellis too, to see how that goes. Save space and keep them off the ground so the critters can't get at them. Okay, over here on the side of the house we've got a beet patch. So Detroit red beets and scallions. They're loving the warm, moist soils over here. Up against the wall is a self-propagated arugula that I planted a few years back, and now it just goes off. Nice spicy leaves to add to salads or sandwiches. And then we've got another cantaloupe, Minnesota midget. And I hear that they really love the heat, so we'll get the nice radiating heat coming off the bricks. Get some big juicy melons. Then we've got our lavender patch in full bloom, smelling very lovely. This year we're going to be learning how to extract essential oils so that we can take our own organic lavender oil and put it in bath salts. And we'll have that amazing fragrance all through the year. And this year I wanted a whole pile of beets because I want to do some different preservation projects with beets, from pickling to fermentation, and maybe even drying them, we'll see. So we got golden beets and more Detroit reds. Then here on the corner we got a little permaculture action going on. Chamomile, cilantro, and dill. And the cilantro is starting to go to flower. Nice little flowers over here. Little dainty white flowers, and right after those, all these little green balls are going to set on them. Those are what would become the coriander seed, which is also a spice. But if you take them while they're still green and juicy, they have an amazing distinct flavor that's different than both cilantro and coriander seed. And I like using them in curries or different dishes. And our strawberry and cilantro patch, I guess. But yeah, the strawberries are doing amazing this year. We've been harvesting them constantly for the last few weeks and made our first jam this year, so. They're always good. Got our rhubarb over there in the corner, doing well. Here we've got our favorite hot pepper that we discovered last year, the white Peruvian habanero. We've got it in a terracotta, same mix that I usually do for the other peppers in pots. And they have a really rich flavor. The classic habanero flavor, a little bit less hot. On the BTU scale, probably like 200,000, whereas most habaneros are up around 300,000 or more. So I find that they're puttable right into salsa. I'll snack on them pickled by themselves. They're not brutally hot like most habaneros, but really rich flavor. Looking forward to pickling these and making sauces. And here, last but not least, we have the raspberry forest. Proud and massive. Third year in, it is. When I first started counting them, when they were sprouting, I think there was like 42, 47 that growing now. So it's going to be the year we'll have to quarantine the area, but lots of raspberries to look forward to. They're already setting on the vine. They love this climate, Southern Ontario. Next time, I'm going to be talking about a new project, which is kind of on the same vibe as what I was talking about in Garden Journal 9, which is learning from symbiotic relationships in nature and embracing symbiosis in the garden and in life in general. And that is, we're going to be learning to ferment vegetables using the naturally occurring lactic acid bacteria, which are present in nature and they exist on the skin already. And we're going to do that by creating conditions in which the other bacteria, which are responsible for rotting and decomposition, cannot survive, but the lactic acid bacteria can survive. And the lactobacilli are like the bacteria that they use to make yogurt for milk. So you're using the bacteria that are probiotic, meaning that they can live in your gut and be a beneficial flora that works with you to help digest and get more nutrition out of all the other foods you eat. So we're going to get kale, get cabbage, peppers, anything else we can use. And what you do is you exclude every bit of air out of the container that you're holding them in, and then you submerge them in their own juices. And those conditions, along with a certain heat and lighting, allow for the lactic acid bacteria to thrive. They change the acidity, they preserve your food for months to come, and you get enhanced nutrition and amazing flavor. So that's going to be next week. And that's it for this time. Garden Journal number 10, signing out.